This universe is not just a stage. Every moment, every encounter, every emotion follows a law. We live within that flow, and now we begin to uncover its truth together. Welcome to the law of the universe, where your consciousness begins to awaken. Rethinking family. Reflections on new forms of family and legal protection systems. 1. Awareness of the issue. The gap between traditional family concepts and reality. In modern society, various forms of communities fulfill the role of a family, beyond blood ties or legal marriage. Despite living together and caring for each other, these relationships often face legal restrictions, such as in hospital guardian designations or administrative consent rights. This reveals a disconnection between the reality of social caregiving and its lack of institutional recognition. Countries like France and Japan already offer legal rights in areas such as caregiving and medical consent, even for non-married partners. Some cities, including Seoul, are moving toward protective legislation for non-blood-related communities. In this evolving context, we are called to reflect on a fundamental question. What defines a family, and on what grounds should such relationships be institutionalized? 2. The essential difference between blood relations and true family. Master CHEON Gong teaches, family is not the same as blood. Blood relations are obligatory connections inherited from past ties, whereas true family is a living relationship built through mutual effort in the present. Blood relations. These stem from ties of a previous life, where parents bear the duty to raise children until they mature, typically until age 21, ensuring they acquire proper manners, character, and knowledge. Family. Regardless of blood, family is formed when individuals strive to live for each other. Such relationships may develop among friends, community members, or anyone who shares mutual dedication. Even among those related by blood, without mutual effort, they cannot be called a true family. Conversely, even without blood ties, when people commit to one another, they can rightfully be seen as family. 3. The modern definition of family. Mutual effort and coexistence. Today, family should no longer be defined simply by cohabitation, but rather by whether individuals are striving to live for each other. One-sided devotion over time often breeds conflict. True family is sustained by balance and mutual support. As Master CHEON Gong says, receiving help from one side alone does not create family. On the contrary, it may turn the other into an enemy. True family is formed when both parties strive to live for each other. Such a notion of family can emerge in various life settings: workplaces, cultural circles, religious groups, volunteer teams, homemaker networks, or hobby clubs. Through shared values and mutual support, new types of families naturally come into being. 4. A philosophical view on legal systems. Does this mean such relationships must always be legally protected? Master CHEON Gong's perspective transcends institutional reform. Genuine family ties do not begin with recognition, but with understanding. The law exists as a social tool to compensate for a lack of awareness or practice, but it can never fully capture the essence of human relationships. What's truly needed is not just legal reform, but a shift in consciousness. When we live not for ourselves but to benefit others, society organically transforms into a harmonious and healthy community. 5. Conclusion. A new path for families and communities. We are at a turning point where the definition of family and its systems of protection must be reestablished. As mutual caregiving and solidarity-based communities grow beyond blood ties, legal reform is indeed necessary. However, the more fundamental transformation lies in pursuing a life that benefits others. As Master CHEON Gong concludes, we are Hongik humans living our final life. A life not lived for oneself, but for the benefit of others, is the path that purifies the soul and illuminates society. Thus, redefining family systems is not merely about legal acknowledgement. It is a deeper inquiry into how we can recover and expand a spirit of practical community, a way of living where people truly strive to support one another. A simple summary of the new concept of family. 1. Why is this an issue? Today, many people live together and care for one another like a family, even if they are not related by blood or legal marriage. However, in legal matters like hospital guardianship, inheritance, or administrative consent, They are often not protected because they are not considered legal family. This shows it is time to rethink the definition and system of family. 2. Blood ties and family are not the same. Blood ties are relationships you are born into. For example, parents are responsible for helping their children grow with proper manners, character, and knowledge until adulthood. And family, however, can be formed without blood relations. If people live for and support each other, they can become true family. Even if there is a blood connection, without mutual effort, it cannot be called family. On the other hand, people who are not blood related can still be true family if they care for each other sincerely. 3. What does it take to be a real family? True family means helping each other, understanding each other, making efforts together. If only one side gives, conflict will eventually arise. Real family is based on mutual benefit and cooperation. 4. Is legal protection necessary? Legal systems are important, but even more important is a change in how people think. Instead of living only for oneself, we need to live to help others. When people shift their mindset in this way, society naturally becomes more caring, even without relying solely on the law. 5. Conclusion. Family is a way of living together. Today, many new types of families are emerging. Even without blood ties, people can be bonded as family through heart and effort. As Master CHEON Gong says, family is a relationship where people live for one another. Living only for yourself leads to isolation. Living to benefit others brings clarity and peace to your own life. Summary table, category content, problem. People who are not legal family often lack legal protection. Definition. True family is defined by mutual care and effort, not just blood ties. Solution: legal reform is helpful, but changing our mindset to help others is key. Conclusion. Real family is built through living for and with one another. This is the story based on the above articles. The choice called family. One quiet evening as gentle rain fell, 5 people gathered in the living room of Hotaru House, a share house on the outskirts of Tokyo. There was Yukari, a nurse in her 30s, Mr. Tajima, a retired teacher living alone, Hiroki, a university student job hunting, Nana, a preschool teacher, and Minju, a violin instructor. They came from different backgrounds, generations, and professions, but had been living together under one roof for nearly 2 years. They were never family by name, just residents, but their bond had grown deeper than that of a family. When someone was sick, the others cared for them. When one was struggling, they stayed up all night listening. On birthdays, they cooked together and celebrated with small homemade cakes. More than a name, more than blood, what mattered was warmth. One day, they received a call. Minju had collapsed and been taken to the hospital. Hiroki rode in the ambulance with her, and Nana rushed to the hospital. But at the front desk, they were met with an unexpected barrier. If you are not family, we can't disclose her condition. But we are her family. Nana's voice trembled. How many days had they laughed and cried with her? She remembered Minju silently handing her a warm cup of tea during hard times. And now all they could do was wait outside the hospital room. Leaning against the wall, Hiroki muttered, "What? Does it really mean to be family?" Fortunately, Minju's condition was not severe, and she was discharged a few days later. That evening, with everyone gathered again, Mr. Tajima spoke quietly. Even if not a drop of blood connects us, choosing to be there for someone, that's real family. Yukari nodded. Working as a nurse, I've seen it often. People who give more love than blood relatives ever could. Minju smiled gently. She looked tired, but her eyes were kind. It was only after coming to this house that I began to understand what family truly means. No matter what the country or the law says, there's a real connection between us. In the silence that followed, only warmth remained. A few months later, Minju collapsed again. This time, the diagnosis required long-term hospitalization. The doctors said they needed the legal guardian's consent to proceed with treatment. Since none of them were legally family, they couldn't sign anything. Minju's older sister flew in temporarily from Korea to take on the role. After signing the consent form, she said coldly, We haven't spoken in over 10 years. I have no idea what kind of life she lived here. But I am family, so I get to decide legally. Yukari bit her lip. Nana swallowed back tears. Then Mr. Tajima quietly spoke up. Just as we choose the people we love, we should be able to choose our family. If the relationships formed through shared time and care are more real than blood, then the law should honor that. From that day on, Yukari submitted a petition to the city council for a chosen family system. Nana partnered with social welfare groups to begin a movement for legal reform. Hiroki made it the subject of his graduation thesis. Mr. Tajima wrote about it in an op-ed, sharing his story with the public. Minju finally returned home in late spring. She was still frail, but when she stood in the doorway and saw the familiar faces smiling back at her, she couldn't hold back her tears. I'm home. That short phrase rang louder than any declaration. Welcome back. Within the layered echoes of that greeting, a family, beyond law and form, was already living and breathing. And on the wall beside Minju's bed, a small handwritten note was taped. This person's family is here.